goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about being in that moment. And then, of course, it's edited to fucking high hell. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse, but it was edited to high hell. The first one I would say is Acquaintances of a Lonely John. It was my final film in college. And specifically, there's a shot in an elevator. And I remember I took a class with a professor, Ray Carney, and we were watching a Bresson movie. It's called La Dame de Bois de Boulogne. And it was like one of his first ones. So he was finding his methodology in the movie. And she's on this, I guess she's on a date, and it doesn't go quite what she planned. And she gets in an elevator and it goes up with her. And I remember being like, why did this happen? And, and I was just like, why is he showing this moment, And so when I made my first short film, I thought, okay, I'm going to explore with that, in between moment, what that feels like. And I get in the elevator after I'm trying to be friends with my neighbor, and he kind of just blows me off. And I had to take the elevator down by myself, and you just take the ride with me. And I thought that was nice. But that's the goal, is you want the camera to be tied to what the person's feeling, in some way. And there's another one, John's Gone, which is another short film where it was like, oh, let's try out Steadicam. And it was like the worst Steadicam you could possibly think of. But I'm walking down the middle of Queens Boulevard eating Chinese food. And this music by Paul Grimstad is just it's intense. And it's just and I'm shoving this scallion pancake in, and then the title card comes up. I love that. So short films, I think the way that I would approach them is you're still telling the story, and you're trying out new things, and you get to experiment without a net, because there's less pressure, there's less kind of stuff that is riding on it. And so you could do things that work. Maybe they don't, maybe they do. And then you're like, oh, I like this, and maybe I could use that somewhere else. So it's kind of it's a good way to explore new ideas, let's see what really long lenses look like, it's fun. And because you really are just getting a bunch of people together to try and make something happen. And then for me, I just want to take that energy and do it on the biggest scale, It's got to be that opening, It was just difficult to choreograph. We knew that it had to put you in a specific mindset right away. It's in the hospital with the music. When you have a shot like that, you don't want it to feel like it was choreographed, and you wanted it to kind of feel like there was stuff in the way. So to kind of get people coming in at the wrong moment, or get people coming in and there was a lot of thought put into that, where this could happen. And there was also no sound, which I think was really interesting. And just kind of moving through that environment, trying to create a feeling, and using the camera and the blocking to create a feeling. That's an intense movie, and it talks and deals with a lot of stuff. And for me, I really didn't want to romanticize that world, because it's taken so many lives, That in particular was a way of just kind of showing that feeling, of kind of it. And it's intense. It's got to be the Cross the Room at the very end, just because for me, that was something that was really emotional. The teacher was somebody who was a teacher for people with those disabilities. She had a game that she played with them, and it was this thing: cross the room if you feel this, cross the room if you feel that. And we just told her a little bit about what it was that had happened to me. And she did the questions, For me, I didn't know what she was going to say. And so I was in the room just as one of these members of this class. And I had my own direction, which is I'm not going to do anything she says. It's all my business. She doesn't need to know. She's a stranger. So if she tells me and asks me a question, I'm not going to cross the room. I'm going to stand in my spot. I'm not going to do anything.
Now, you choose whether or not you want to cross. You don't have to. It could be your secret.
She asks a question about like, if you like candy, cross the room. And I'm like, it's none of her business if I like candy or not. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about being in that moment. And in that moment, I was just not crossing the room. I was not participating. And she asked me, have you ever been blamed for something that you didn't do? Which is the whole movie. And it just kind of like clicked. And I started crossing the room. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to cross the room. And I did it. And I crossed the room. And then I realized, she got me. She engaged me. She broke through.
Sure.
Cross the room if you've ever been blamed for something that you didn't do.
Ooh.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Uncut Gems. Okay. There's so many. You know what it was? It was, okay, I'm going to say it was when Garnett gets stuck in the booth, because that was one where we got on set and we had just the most insane shot list ever. And it was just like, let's just try to do it in one. Let's just try. We've got the office. Everything is there. Let's just go for it and try it. Maceo Bishop was the camera operator on that. Darius was the cinematographer, but I remember, so Maceo was the Steadicam operator. So he was there and I was running boom on that shot. And it was the most chaotic thing I've ever experienced, because we are flying in and out, back the room, this thing, down, catch the, everything had to be perfect. And then of course it's edited to fucking high hell. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. It was edited to high hell, but it started out as let's try and get it in one. And we just kept, it was a way of like discovering things as it happened. And I remember just being connected to the hip with Maceo, and I'm trying to get everything with him. And it was such an athletic experience. And I just loved it. You know, it was really just special, like getting back at the right moment. And then going back and thinking like, oh, okay, what do we want to do on this one to get this shot? And like, it was an amazing learning experience also, because everything just folded into that moment. How do you capture this energy, you know?
It's not working.
God damn it.
Hang on, sorry.
Open this shit up, man.
I'm sorry.
Once we got it, then it was like, okay, well, what are the things that we need to just really hammer it home? The chisel, like you kind of break down what it is, like, because like being an editor, you can kind of look at the scene and think, okay, what am I missing here? You know, like, so at any moment, if there's a dead spot in that long shot, we can just cut to the buzzer. Yeah. It's literally that, just like that.
Yeah.
Band-aids, I call them. Okay, this has to be when he gets out of the ring and he walks to the elevator. He gets in the elevator, he goes upstairs. So in our camera test, Glenn Kaplan, the first AC, he comes to Maceo and he's like, I found this lens, because we shot this on 16 millimeter, partly because it's so small, you got long takes and you can move in a way. That's what Maceo was saying to me. It's like, this is something ergonomic about the 16 millimeter camera that allows you to just kind of flow with people. But Glenn, he comes, he finds this uncoated lens, and it's this crazy looking lens. And we did our test on it and the lights just went everywhere. And immediately I'm like, oh, that's a knockout. Like literally, visually and emotionally. And so we saved that lens. We only use it once in the whole movie. And it's that moment when he gets out of the ring and it's just the camera pans up with him as he's coming out and the lights are flaring everywhere, literally like his head. And we just follow him from the ring, out, past Dawn, out the door, into the hallway, just to let everybody, like, it's also another way to say, like, this really happened. You know, we're there. We're seeing from the moment he's talking to the guy to the moment he's walking out of the ring, we're with him. And then we're in the elevator with him and we see his back. And Dwayne is acting with the muscle twitches of his back.
Is out. This is truly shocking.
I remember when he's like, "You're just on my back the whole time." I said, "Yeah." And we can see everything you're feeling. And we're right there with you. We don't need to see your face. We know what it's like, you know? And that came from, I read this essay by Gay Talese with Floyd Patterson. And after he lost to Sonny Liston, he said, the worst thing in the world was the walk back from the ring to your locker room. He said, you just wished there was a trap door in the middle of the ring that just teleported you to the locker room. And I thought, well, I got to show that walk, you know? It's Frank Capra. It's a Wonderful Life. It's the shot where, and I sent this to DJ early on saying, this is Mark Kerr. It's the shot where he just finds out the news. He's like, his brother's coming home from the war. His brother's going to take over the business. As his brother gets off, somebody says, hey, did you hear the good news? He got this great job in New York. And George Bailey recognizes, oh, I'm going to have to stay. You just see this look on Jimmy Stewart's face where he's devastated. And in one shot, one pan, you pan with him as he walks back to the group. And in that pan, he shifts from complete devastation and sadness to big smile for his brother. I'm not going to let him feel bad on this day. And he hides his own emotions for the benefit of others. And I was like, and it's in one take, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.